So on the campaign trail, Donald Trump said that he would be dictator for one day. And I remember when he said that, I immediately made a video of that. And I said, this should alarm anyone. This shouldn't be about politics. This shouldn't be about Republican or Democrat. No politician, no one running for office should ever say, yeah, I'll be dictator just for one day. But I had people chime in, people who I used to have respect for, to say to me, I'm cool with that. I'm okay with it as long as he does what we want him to do. And these were the same people who back during the Iraq War would argue with me and say we needed to go into Iraq to remove a dictator and to install democracy. Those same people shifted their tune over the years to, I'm okay with having a dictator as long as they're doing what I want them to do, and I'm okay if they terminate the Constitution. That's cool too, as long as they're doing the things that I want them to do. And again, that should alarm anyone. It shouldn't be political. It shouldn't be Democrat versus Republican or left versus right. That should just be something we all agree is not normal, but people are cool with it. And the media normalized and same-washed that kind of thing. And so here we are with Donald Trump as president-elect, and he's already emulating what a dictator would do by overreaching. And he's going to be suing an Iowa pollster. I'm going to read you this story here from the Midas Touch Network. But before we do, if you enjoy the kind of content that I do, then be sure and hit that subscribe button. We're closing in on 500,000 subscribers. So like the video, subscribe, leave a comment, leave a blue heart if you feel like it. It just helps to boost the videos and the algorithm. And I truly appreciate each and every one of you for your support. But here is this article. This was written by Aaron Parnas from the Midas Touch Network. This is on MidasNews.com. Donald Trump says he will sue Ann Selzer, an Iowa newspaper. Donald Trump announced today that he would pursue a lawsuit against Ann Selzer and the Des Moines Register following a poll released by Selzer leading up to the November 5th election that showed Trump down to Vice President Kamala Harris in a head-to-head matchup. The poll had Trump down 4 points against Harris and shocked the country. Despite the poll's finding, the ultimate results had Trump carrying the state of Iowa by more than 5 points. Selzer ultimately announced that she would be retiring from the polling industry and would not continue her contract with the newspaper. While the poll may have been incorrect, it outraged Donald Trump and his supporters to the point where Trump is now outwardly threatening to sue Selzer and the paper for releasing the poll. It is unclear what the legal recourse or legal action he would have. Polls are wrong all the time, and Seltzer's Iowa poll is no different. Instead of moving on from the 2024 election and uniting the country, Trump is pursuing retribution against those he perceives to be his enemy. Now, the thing I want to point out about that is, yeah, polls are wrong all the time. And it's ridiculous to me that someone would want to sue a pollster, sue someone for putting out a poll and then the poll being wrong. It's crazy to me that we live in a world where this is going to be the new norm. People are just going to sit back and be okay with him throwing around lawsuits like this, not realizing that it goes right against the First Amendment. Now, I do keep a copy of the United States Constitution here on my desk. I've also got a copy of the Bible. And the reason I keep those laying around and the reason why I read them and study them every day is because MAGA loves to bastardize both of them all the time. So we're just going to go here to the Bill of Rights, to the First Amendment, which was proposed in 1789 and ratified in 1791. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peacefully assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances. This country was founded on the idea of a free press. Is the press always going to get it right? No, they're not. Absolutely not. But for a president to reach, a president-elect, I don't even know how this is legal, by the way, but for a president-elect to overreach and say they're going to sue a poll, it just goes back to my whole argument of just how fragile this guy's ego is and what sore winners MAGA truly are, because they won the thing. They've got the presidency. He has the Supreme Court in his back pocket. They have the Senate. They have the House. They've got it all. But his ego is so fragile that he's worried over a poll that got it wrong. Most normal people would let that roll off of him. Most normal people would say, hey, yeah, you thought you had me down. You were wrong. And they would go on about their day. And most normal people, anytime they win an election, you could go back to any president in my lifetime, and I'm sure for those of you that are older, that have been around longer, my dad's lived through 15 presidents, and he tells me all the time he's never seen anything like this, because any time in American history, no matter which side of the political aisle won an election, they then would at least say, maybe they didn't always do it, maybe they didn't always come through, but they would at least say that they were going to unify the country. The first election that I ever voted in was the Bush-Gore election, and I voted for Gore. So you can imagine how that went for me. I've talked about this here on the channel before. I voted for Gore. I was very disappointed, and I'll own it. I was a 20-year-old kid that went around screaming the game was rigged for a while. I went around saying they stole it. I went around saying that Gore shouldn't have conceded. I went around saying those things for a while, and then I realized that I had to put my big boy pants on, and I had to get back in the game, and I had to work harder and try harder to understand things. I rolled around for the 2004 election. I was all behind John Kerry, although he wasn't my first pick. He was the nominee. Okay, let's get behind John Kerry. I thought to myself, all those people that voted for Bush in the year 2000, they're going to be mad at him now over the useless wars he started and the economy being in the tank. So surely none of those people would vote for him. And all the people that voted against him the first time, they're still mad over it being stolen. So surely this won't happen again. And it happened again. And it wasn't until 2008 before I finally got to have an election where I picked the winner. I voted for Barack Obama and got to go, wow, this is how it feels to win. I was 28 years old before I felt that. But in every scenario, and I'm not a George W. Bush fan, and I criticized him for 8 years and will continue to do so. I don't think that George W. Bush should ever get a pass. He was a terrible president. I don't care how much candy he eats with Michelle Obama. I don't care how many paintings he shows to Ellen. He was a terrible president, and I'm not giving him a pass. But he at least did try, or say he was going to, unify the country after his election victories. And in most normal cases, people concede elections and they go on about their day. But we're not in normal times anymore. We're in the era of Trump. We're going to be there for at least 12 years because, according to the Constitution, he can't run again. He's only allowed to serve 2 terms, but I'm sure MAGA will. They don't care if they're not going to care if he terminates it to let himself run again. So we'll see how long we're going to be stuck with this guy or his ideology. And we live in a world where he is going to start suing people. And when in that same interview where he was asked if he would come after social media influencers, he said, yeah, he believes he has to. He believes that he has to come after us because we're dishonest, because we're not telling the truth. No, the truth of the matter is his ego is so fragile that a YouTube channel with someone criticizing him is a threat to him. Well, I don't know who it was made this quote. A friend of mine was telling me about it, but they said, I would rather have a government that's afraid of the free press as a free press who is afraid of the government. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. I'm not afraid. I'm going to continue to speak up and stand up for what I believe in. If I were to face lawsuits in the future, I'll face it head on. And I will bring a copy of the Constitution to the courtroom with me. It's ridiculous when you stop and think about all the people over the last 4 years who have done nothing but defame Hunter Biden, done nothing but defame Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton, Kamala Harris. If you're going to make that argument, what I'm trying to say here is that anyone could make that argument. Anyone could say that someone criticizing them was defaming me. Anyone could make that argument. So if he wants to go down that rabbit hole and start suing people who he feels defamed him, that's going to be a pretty big rabbit hole to go down when you consider all the other people out there who criticizes everybody. That's what the internet is. It's a place where people, build platforms and use those platforms to express their ideas, and we're not always going to agree. But what's happened is over the last 4 years, Donald Trump has went out there and MAGA, and they've constantly preached about the weaponization of government. They've preached that so hardcore. And I don't want to give Donald Trump any credit and say that that was some sort of strategy, because I don't think he's smart enough to have a strategy. But what happened is he went out there and continued to double down on the narrative that the government was being weaponized against them. And I would argue all day long, nope, that's not the case. You were being held accountable for what you did. The people on January 6th, they went up there with the intention of overturning an election. They were going to overthrow the government. They came there with the noose to hang Mike Pence. They went into the Capitol. They rubbed shit on the wall. They ended up tasing themselves in the balls. They ended up putting their feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk. They ended up beating police officers over the head and breaking into the Capitol. And they got held accountable for it. So Donald Trump goes out there and for the last 4 years calls them patriots and hostages and says that they're being unfairly persecuted and all that bullshit. And he says that to the point that his followers believe everything is weaponized against them. If they get fact-checked on Facebook or they get someone accuses them of spreading misinformation, then they lose their mind and say the government's being weaponized against them. So now that Donald Trump is getting in, he can turn around and weaponize the government against people like us, and they will be all for it because, again, it's all about revenge and retribution. Let me make this perfectly clear. Donald Trump doesn't care about his followers either, but he sure as hell doesn't care about us, and neither does his followers. They love him because he hates us and they hate us. Let's just be realistic here, okay? Let's not sit here and try to mince words and say, oh, I love you, Brando. No, listen. For those that are in MAGA and those that voted for Donald Trump, don't tell me you love me. I know you hate me and everything I stand for. And Donald Trump empowers that hatred. He empowers people to be hateful. And so, as long as he empowers that hatred, they're going to be okay with him coming after us. I really don't think that any of the people that still says, well, I disagree with you, even though you're liberal, I disagree with you, I love you. I will not believe that until I see you stand up for us when they come for us. Because I find your words to be very hollow, and I find your ideas to be even more so hollow. And they did this on purpose. It was all... They sit here, they double down on the narrative of weaponizing government, and now they say, well, I have to. I feel like I'm obligated to because they're going to do it to us. And so people will sit back if they were to come for Tennessee Brando or Midas Touch or whoever. Well, you guys got what you deserve, man. It's what you get for coming after us. Well, the difference is we didn't go to the Capitol and try to overturn an election. What did we say when Kamala Harris lost the election? We said just that. She lost the election. We said just that. We're going to have to move forward. We're not taking to the streets. We're not threatening violence. We're not going to hang anybody. None of those things are happening. And it's bullshit that we live in a world where people can't see how the two arguments are apples and oranges. They did not have the government weaponized against them. They got held accountable for the things that they did. Suing an Iowa pollster, for crying out loud, and going after someone who hurt your feelings, that's an overreach of government. That's overstepping. That's bullshit. No one should be for it. But I truly do appreciate each and every one of you for coming along on what is going to be a crazy, a wild, and a bumpy ride. It truly will be. But we're not going to back down. We're going to hang in there. We're going to continue to fight for what we believe in. And when I say fight, I mean use our voices peacefully to stand up for our beliefs, to stand up for democracy, to stand up for women's rights and our daughters' future, to stand up for marginalized groups that needs to be lifted up, and to make sure that everyone out there doesn't get a handout but has a fair hand to play. That's what I believe in. It's what I'm always going to believe in, and it's what I'm always going to stand for. And I'm not going to be threatened. I'm not going to be bullied by anyone. I'm not going to let anyone's threats or their bullying slow me down or stop me. I'm going to keep moving forward because I feel like that's what we have to do. And I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in and supporting what it is that I do. This coming Friday, December 20th, I'm going to be doing a music show sitting right here in this chair. I'll be playing songs, taking requests for cover tunes, playing tunes I wrote. And we have a good time on those shows, and you don't have to be a patron to watch the show. It's free to the public. I will post those links on social media. The link to my Patreon is here in the description of this video. And if you get tired of politics and want to take a break from it, want to step away from it, and you want to do so with me, I've been putting more non-political content over on Patreon, and it's been catching on pretty good, and the Patreon is growing, and I appreciate everyone out there for supporting what I do with it. We've had a lot of fun. We've lit up the grill and made some barbecue chicken. We've reviewed some cigars. We've talked about my Mount Rushmore of country singers and my Mount Rushmore of books, and we've posted videos of me playing music in the studio, recording the new album. So we have a lot of fun over there, and we're going to continue to live our lives. We're going to continue to believe in freedom and democracy, and we're going to continue to push forward. And we're not going to let some wannabe dictator that wants to praise, dictators and say that he needs to rule his country like them. We're not going to let them bully us, or we're not going to let them scare us. We're never going to back down. We're never going to shut up. We will be the resistance. And if we are a thorn in MAGA's side, then so be it. I will be that thorn, and I'll gladly be it. Because I do believe in freedom and democracy. I have never thought that anyone's platform should be taken out from under them unless they were threatening people for real, or unless they were doing something to harm other people. I believe in the First Amendment. I believe in freedom of speech. I believe in the Constitution. And if MAGA truly believed in it themselves, I'll close with this. If they truly believed in it themselves, Elon Musk says it's essential. Freedom of speech is essential. Okay, Elon, if it's essential, go to hell. That's my free speech. I don't like you. I don't like for what you stand for. I don't like the way you treated your trans child. That's my freedom of speech. And if freedom of speech, if unpopular speech is essential, Elon, then I don't like you or anything you stand for. Deal with it. there. That's how free speech works, or at least that's how they say it works. So now why are you targeting pollsters? Is your ego really that fragile? Are you really that weak-minded that you couldn't just move on? And why? Why are they not trying to unify the country? They're not trying to unify the country because they don't want to be united with people like us. And to tell you the truth, I don't want to be united with people like them. So I guess we're just going to have to sort it out as we move forward.